Hey everybody,
Hey, hey.
how's it going?
Great. How you doing?
Welcome. Man, I'm doing so amazing. It's
Awesome.
great. I am not worried today because it's Wednesday,
Good.
and this is Don't Worry Wednesday. It's also Waddle Waddle Wednesday. I see Rack Attack is here.
That's right. For
I
all you
still
rag
have,
tags out there,
yes, I
all one
still
of
have,
you.
I still have not waddled for you. It's on my to-do list.
Maybe this is the episode.
Maybe we shall see. Well, welcome. This is Don't Worry Wednesday. This is the show where we take questions and issues that you may be having. You just go ahead and post them right in the chat, and we do our best to answer as best we can, offer some perspective, some encouragement. If there's anything we can help with, we just love to do that. We're not professionals. We're not therapists or attorneys or anything like that, and what we say is just for information and not a substitute for professional therapy or anything like that. We just want to help you guys and support you guys the way you're supporting us,
Hmm.
and we just love you guys, and we're so glad you're here. So yeah, Gage, I see your note there. If there isn't a cue, mind if you go first? You can feel free to start us right out.
Yeah, please. Other people have been saying that they did the crazy tests over there in Europe. I forget what they all
Yes,
GCSE, and they went awesome. That's great, Jono.
yes, absolutely. I'm glad because that can be a really, really stressful time. We devoted
Yeah,
like a half an hour or more to talking about
tests
standardized
and stuff.
testing and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff last time. It was, yeah,
Hmm.
man.
It's a big subject, honestly. It really is.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, it causes a lot of stress.
It
You know,
sure
I can
does.
I can remember going through that. I can remember taking a course for like 6 months, preparing for a test like that,
Hmm.
paying money for this course. It was crazy. And then I had to do it on Saturdays, and it was all because everything was all about preparing for this exam.
Hmm.
And then it was all done.
Yeah, and then it was over in a flash. Well, no, it took a day. Hey, Bree, Theory, welcome. I'm glad to see that you're here.
Yeah. And yes, I did shave.
Yes, Joe shaved. Are you upset? Are you upset, Kayla? You should be.
I should be upset that I shaved.
You should be so mad at Joe right now for shaving.
Ah, I know.
Nice
I
to
know.
see you here, Kayla. I heard that I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I heard that you did your concert thing, and that it went really awesomely. So congratulations. Your mom told me that you didn't. It looked like you weren't nervous at all. So that's so super cool. Um, this is. I'm pretty sure this is the same Kayla. That was the one that did the. What do you call that? Um, she went to some carnival festival thing and had to sing up on stage. Do you remember that, Joe?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, how did that go, Kayla?
Yeah. If you want to talk about it, feel
Yeah,
free.
post in there.
Tell
So,
us what
okay.
your thoughts were. How the
Yeah.
experience went. That'd be
Well,
cool.
Gage has put his question in here,
Perfect.
and it's a two-parter. So, okay. So here it goes. Gage says, Gage Meadows. All right. So here's my thing lately. I've been feeling homesick, which is weird since I've been home. But I
Hmm.
think it stems from me missing my brother, best friend, who moved to Alabama. So now I want to visit him, but can't seem to find the time or money to be able to. I work for 7.55 an hour, and I want to find a way to see him so I can feel a bit better. Any suggestions?
Hmm.
Hmm, that is a great question. And it may take some time and some planning. So, Ryan, do you have any thoughts on what Gage could do in this situation?
Yeah, that is definitely um interesting. I can kind of relate to that. When I was growing up, I was 14. when I met this girl in Canada, and we dated for 4.5 years. When I became 18, I got my driver's license and immediately drove to Canada. In order to do that, I had to save up a little bit of money. So I worked at minimum wage. It was definitely less than $7.55 an hour. It was more like $7.10 an hour, I think. I'm trying to remember what minimum wage was back then, but anyways, that was the case. So I had been saving up for some time, and I ended up acquiring a decent amount of money. It wasn't a whole lot. It was only like 150 maybe at most. So I didn't really have any other expenses, so I just saved up until I was able to get over there. And thankfully, my mom was also willing to help out, and she gave me a little bit of money to help me just in case something bad happened. Insurance money, I guess you could say. So you might be able to ask your parents if they would be willing to help you do something like that, or other people in your household. But if not, that's totally understandable and acceptable. It's your own thing. So I'm wondering how old you are, if you're able to drive yourself, because what I did was I just drove myself and just went as cheap as I possibly could. You can save a lot of money if you plan ahead. So driving through the night, if they live really far away, driving through the night instead of stopping at a hotel can save you a ton of money. You can park at a rest stop for a few hours, get some shut eye, and then take off. You can sleep in your car or whatever. If you're able to drive. If you have to do this by bus, I'm not sure if maybe the bus is the only route you can take. Then just figure out what's the best and cheapest way you can do it, and just plan ahead. Use Google and find the cheapest places you can stay at if you have to stay the night somewhere. If you don't, then just go through the night and etc. And okay, so in Tennessee, and he's in Alabama. Let me do a quick Google search to see the distance between.
It's not hugely
far.
It's not maybe up to, is it 10 hours? Maybe, is it more than 10 hours of a drive?
Let's see. It is, oh no, it's nothing bad at all. It's 4 hours.
Okay, from Tennessee to Alabama, but it depends on where in Alabama you're going, because Alabama's a pretty big state.
Yes, it is. And Tennessee is really long to drive through. I've done it before.
Depends on,
yes. So to the center,
which way you're going.
yeah, it really does. So it's not too bad though, Gage. So I do have a car and license, but I have to get some things tweaked and then save money in case something else that goes wrong while I'm gone. Yes, totally. While I'm in Nashville, he's in Mobile, Alabama. Okay. I have no idea where Mobile, Alabama.
Mobile is right down on the Gulf of Mexico, so it's like the southern.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, so he's at the southern.
He's got to go all the way through Alabama.
Okay. So let's see, what's the distance there? Apparently for driving, that is now a 6 hour to 7 hour, depending on which route you take. So yeah, 6.5 to 7.5. Yeah, that's not too bad still. But I'm used to driving long lengths all the time.
We've gone long distances.
And Joe, I used to live in Colorado and drive to Michigan with my brother, and we would drive. It was a 18-hour drive, and so and we would do it nonstop. We wouldn't stop anywhere. We would just drive the entire time, and we would switch. We would rotate basically once. I would drive through the night, and it was pretty easy for us. But yeah, you want to make sure you have an extra 100 in cash or something, just in case something goes horribly wrong, right? And so, also you can do is just plan and wait and build your money up, because other than that, the only other option I can see for you is asking around, asking your parents or whatever if they want to help you do that. Asking other people if they want to go with you can also help you, because if you ask other people to go with you, then you can all go down in one car. You all have your own savings to go with. If you decide to stay at a hotel or something, you can split the cost, and it'll cost the same amount as it would if you weren't, except for you're splitting it, so it's all cheaper on all of you. So that can be a way to save money, is invite other people to go with you and go down with them, you know. And those really my 2 tips for how you can maybe do that. Of course, the other option is maybe just talk to them more online. Ask if you can play a game with them. Sometimes you can experience a lot of good bonding time while playing a game with them over the internet, or just doing a face call like kind of we're doing right now. Those types of things can help. But obviously, there's a sense of physical relationship that that can perhaps cure your desire to see them a little bit stronger, a little bit more. But you know, life goes on either way. You know, it's something you'll eventually get used to, regardless of whether you see them now. But I can totally understand wanting to see them for sure. But at some point, your brain will settle, and it'll be fine with the fact that you're not next to them every day. I think right now your situation is just like you would expect. You know, you've been with them for so long, and now that they're in a different location, it feels like something's missing from your life, which there's a presence missing from your life. But you know, they don't complete you. They don't make you who you are, but that relationship is there's something in between there now, and they're not with you every single day. So I can totally understand having this feeling of slight emptiness, like something's lacking. And so, yeah, you can plan out and whatever, but eventually your brain will settle and get used to the new environment of them not being there with you all the time. So just know that it won't be there forever. It'll go away. But yeah, I think it's good to plan to go ahead and see other people, you know, especially if you miss them. So yeah, I wish you the best.
Absolutely. No, that's so I see some of the comments you've put on here, Gage, that the farthest you've driven so far is about an hour and a half. So yeah, 6 hours, 6.5 hours would be.
It can seem like a whole day thing.
Yes, it'll be a much longer drive for sure. So for a trip that long, it depends. It's going to depend on how many days you're going to be gone, and then also if you're going to need to rent a place to stay. You know, I had noticed also one of your comments, you had stated that he lives in a house with 8 other people. So it seems like it might be kind of a full house. I don't know if you would be imposing. You'll have to kind of figure that out. If you could stay there, or if you would need to stay at a hotel or a campground or something.
Yeah, buying a sleeping bag and taking a pillow with you is going to be a lot cheaper than renting a room.
Absolutely. Yes. And I usually like we used to go to functions where we cram, like 7, 8, 9 people in a hotel room with 2.
It was great. Oh man, those are the times, huh?
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. So I would always just, I kept in my car a pillow, a sleeping bag, and a little bed mat thing, like a self-inflating little air mat thingy, And I just always let other people have the bed, because I was like, hey, you know what? I'm self-contained. Unless there was, if there was an open spot on the bed, then, I'd take it. But sure. More times than not, I would just sleep on the floor. Yes.
I volunteered many times.
Usually next to Ryan. But yeah, so I mean, you'll probably want, a couple $100, set aside for gas and incidentals and stuff like that. You'll also want to plan for food, depending on how many days. Obviously, that's going to depend.
How much do you think that gas would cost for that drive? I mean, obviously, it depends on the vehicle.
Yep, depends on the vehicle. For a 6-hour trip, though, did you see how many miles on there, Ryan?
No, they're driving, oh geez, probably 70 the whole way, 75 maybe at most. Let's see here.
That's more than 75 miles.
You don't know, I don't know the speed limit. No, I meant the speed limit.
Oh, there's speed limit, yeah.
It was, all right, let's just put that back down here in mobile.
300 and some miles.
It is roughly 400 and 450 miles, something like that. That's a rough.
2005 Camry. Yeah, that's a great
dang
car,
straight.
man.
That's a good car.
Yes.
Camry.
I had a 2000 Camry, and now I drive a 2008 Camry, and they will last forever if you take care of them.
That's the whole point of having a Camry, is that they can last.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I put 485,000 miles on my last Camry.
Shoot, that's hot.
Which was great. But at any rate, so you're probably looking at, filling up the tank. There and back, you'll probably fill up the tank 3 times or so. 3 to 4 times, and you figure, somewhere between $30 and $40, depending on the price of gas per fill up. So, maybe like 120, just be on the safe side, maybe like $150 for gas, there and back. And then obviously money for food, and money for staying places. But the point is that, do all that math, and figure out a number.
Mm-hmm.
Then, I mean, the biggest fear and the biggest problem with most of these things is just when we don't know, like, the actual answer.
Right.
We don't have a clear knowledge of the number that we need as far as money goes. So whatever your wage, whatever amount of money you make, you can figure out how to put together a few $100s, depending on, I don't know what your expenses look like, your day-to-day living expenses, but most of the time you can get creative. I mean, you can go without certain things, there's all kinds of things. I remember when I dug into finances, and I was like into my own personal finances, and I really wanted to, get some different stuff and, kind of fix some things financially. I was amazed at how much money I wasted. And it's so easy to do here in America. We have so much stuff available at convenience stores all over the place. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's so much stuff available. You can easily cut some of those things out. Well, I take that back. It's not necessarily going to be easy. But if you're anything like me, you're going to discover that you are spending a lot of money on things that were not absolutely necessary for you to survive. And so, you'd be able to, cut back on some different things. But but figure out the number of what you want, what of the trip, depending on how many days you're going to be gone, whether you need a hotel or not, as far as gas goes, like I said, $150. And it's not bad to have a few $100s just with not assigned to anything in case something happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad idea to have some cash and then, stash it somewhere, secure on your body. I would. And then, and once you have that number, now you have a goal. And then you can get creative. Then it gets fun, because then you can get creative. You can look at, okay, I'm going to make this amount of money this week. I'm trying to save up this amount of money. Okay, so if I just save this, I can cut out this and this. Oh, you know what? Maybe I can do some extra work. It's fall. I don't know how fall is in Tennessee, but here in Michigan, we've got fall cleanup abounding. You can find people who want their yard cleaned up, with the leaves and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. And you'll be surprised how much money you make doing that, by the way.
Yep.
Because you think I'll just go clean up this yard, and then you don't necessarily have a price, and someone will come up to you and be like, oh, here's 20. And some people will be like, oh, here's 100 for the job.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, whoa, I didn't expect that much, but it happens all the time.
Yep. I was just reading some of the comments. Jono doesn't know what fall even is.
Good.
Yes, It is autumn. Sorry.
Autumn.
And it's my favorite season, by the way. I love it.
It's called fall because all the leaves fall off the trees.
That's right. That's right. So yeah. But yeah, those are some things you can do. Absolutely. Just get creative. There are ways you can make money. And once you have the number, then it's easy, because then you're just boom, you're sticking money aside, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you'll have it there. And the owl is moving.
It agrees with you.
Oh, good. Thank you for agreeing with the owl. But you totally can do it. And in the meantime, like everybody said, you can there's electronic communication. I mean, I know you said his internet goes out a lot, so it's tough to get online. But I don't know, you probably have phones, whatever. There's ways to communicate. But as Ryan said, and as you I'm sure know, there really is no substitute for person to person, getting together in person. And I can remember it was crazy when, I'd see Ryan probably, I don't know, 4 times a year or something.
Yeah. Sometimes 3.
Yeah, when you were living in Colorado, and then for a while we didn't see each other for like a year and a half or something like that.
Yeah.
But we saw each other on video conference every week.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then we didn't get together, but we didn't get together in person for like 18 months or something like that.
Right. It'd been a long time.
And then the first time, I remember feeling weird the first time we got together, like in person, because it was like, wow, you're not on a computer screen. Like,
yeah.
I can reach out and like touch you.
Yeah, there's a sense of additional like feeling, emotion, excitement almost,
Uh-huh.
It's cool.
That's cool. So good luck, Gage. You totally can do it. It's not going to be that big a deal, it sounds like. And a few $100s, you can put that together. Piece of cake.
Yeah, once you put it together, then you can just start doing it and saving up, because then you have a plan. And then it's not just like, I don't know what to do the whole time, and then you don't take any action. But if you know what you need to do, then you can take action towards it. So yeah, just plan it out, plan the trip out, decide how many days you want to stay there, what it's going to cost you, and then you can start figuring out how to save for it and stuff like
that. Yeah. So thank you for the question, Gage.
Yeah.
So we've got a few questions that have come.
We certainly do.
Throughout this. The chat has been very active. You guys are extremely helpful tonight. Thank you for being here and helping. So let's see. So we had kind of a competition of who was going to make the other person say their question. We had Kayla and Sayuri.
Sayuri, yeah.
Like you
did either of them?
I think both of them have asked, but I'm not sure.
Okay, I see Kayla's, I think. Okay, hold on. Let's see if I find.
Jesse reprimanded everyone. Thanks to our show is produced by Jesse.
Yes, thank you, Jesse, for being here and hosting us.
Thank you, Jesse, and for putting up with all of our quirks. We've all got our quirks,
So Sayuri says she's waiting patiently for her turn.
Right, and then Kayla
wants her to go, and then you guys are fighting about who goes.
Did you see the argument? It's great, and it's so cool because they're so giving. It's like, no, you go first. No, you go first. No, you go first, and everybody's so polite and nice and wonderful.
All right, Sayuri, your question is important, so don't say it's not that important. All right, but okay, it looks like our first one was actually asked by Kayla.
Okay.
So we'll do hers, and then we'll move on to Sayuri's.
Yes.
Do you want me to read it?
Sure. Is it a multi-part question?
I believe it is.
Okay. Yeah, go for it, man.
All right. She says, well, okay, my parents are right in the middle of a divorce, and it's been so hard because my mom moved out, and my dad comes home really mad all the time because she's being awful. But then she's But then she says he's the one being awful. My mom expects me to choose sides, and I don't know what to do. She's always picking fights with everyone and then gets so offended when we defend ourselves. Let's see. I don't think that, I think that was the end of the question. Yes. I'm looking to make sure that there wasn't anything else. Okay, I actually got out of a really big argument with my mom because she was being mean and I was defending myself. That's why I was depressed. Okay. Yeah.
And she was saying awful things about my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's autumn. But that was the explanation of what fall is.
So. Yes. Which, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow, Kayla, I am so sorry to hear that you're going through this challenge.
Yes, that sounds rough.
Divorce. Ryan has more experience on dealing with watching parents divorce and stuff like that. My parents, thankfully, were able to stay married. And I just know from all accounts that I've heard from all children that divorce is so painful. And I know, and there were times my wife and I have had, some challenges in our marriage, and, but anytime I look at our children, I'm like, those are the people, if we decide to get divorced, if we can't figure this out, they're the ones that are going to get hurt the most. And that's literally true. I mean, you can just case after case after case after case. When parents get divorced, the kids are the ones that get hurt the most. And especially, it sounds like in this case, you're being expected to take sides. There's all kinds of pride issues going on. I mean, it's just, I can totally understand why you would feel depressed. And I'm so sorry that you have to go through that. And I hope you have some friends that you can, hang with and that accept you for just who you are. We certainly do, even though we're not there in person with you. It can help to have a person there physically that you can be yourself with as you go through this time, because it's not fair, at all. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to, I think you have a brother as well.
And I believe a sister.
Yeah, it's not fair to any of you. And this is something, I don't know your mom and your dad's situation, but it sounds like, I mean, they obviously are hurting extremely bad, your mom and your dad both. And so understand that in this situation as well. It's not like people just think, hey, I'm just supposed to get divorced. No, there's some real difficult pain going on in their lives. And there's obviously some deep insecurity in your mom, for sure, because she's expecting you to take sides, so you can read into some of these things. There's a book called Hurting People Hurt People. And I would think that your mom and dad are both people who are in deep, deep distress right now. And unfortunately, you're there bearing the brunt of it. And my goodness, my thoughts and my prayers are with you and your family. And my goodness, I sure hope that you can come through this situation without getting damaged too bad. But wow. It's tough to say when you're dealing with certain types of personalities how to respond sometimes. But at some point, you may have to, in whatever way is appropriate with a parent who's wanting you to take their side, the best thing you can do is say lovingly, You know, you could say something like, Mom, I love you, and I also love Dad. And the fact that you guys are divorcing doesn't change the fact that I love both of you. And it really hurts that you want me to take a side. I understand that, I mean, because really, your dad's probably done some things that hurt your mom, and vice versa. Your mom's done some things that have hurt your dad, I'm sure, in this whole situation. But that doesn't change the fact that you love them. They're your parents. And at some point, like it it would be good for you to somehow get the idea across that you do love both of them. And to take sides doesn't seem fair because, it's not like you want to lose the relationship with either one. And sometimes parents will use their kids to get to the other person.
Mm.
And that's even more damaging and hurtful. And oh my gosh. Kayla, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But I know Ryan has more experience in this area, so I'm going to let him talk.
My experience in this area is a lot different than most people's, but I have had some experience in this, and I also know some people who've had it a lot worse than I did. That's for sure. Well, worse in some ways than others. So I think kind of something Joe was alluding to. Always try to keep in mind that neither of them, especially your mom in this scenario, they aren't trying to hurt you, and in fact, they're probably not even trying to hurt anybody.
Mm-hmm.
What they're trying to do is fight for themselves. Not trying to
Mm-hmm.
fight you. They're just trying to fight for themselves. They're trying to figure life out. Us adults, we don't always have everything figured out, and when you're unhappy with your situation for a long enough, you decide, okay, things have got to change, and you start to act out in an aggressive manner. And aggressive isn't always bad, but sometimes in the face of others, it can be, because if you're not careful, you can easily accidentally put people down without even trying, just because you're trying to figure yourself out, and put yourself forward and say what you want. Because in a situation where divorce is happening, the main thing is that the parents are trying to get what they want.
Mm-hmm.
What they want is happiness. They don't necessarily, maybe they do, or maybe they don't know what will get them there, but they do know they want happiness. And let me stop that from shaking. They do know they want happiness. And so then they're doing everything that they're doing. It's because they want happiness, right? And so sometimes they talk bad about other people because they're trying to make themselves feel better about what they've done in their life, or where they're trying to go with it. And again, usually people aren't trying to hurt people just because they get pleasure out of hurting people. Usually people hurt other people because they're trying to get something for themselves, and that something is happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we go about it in the wrong way. Like I was saying before, when people divorce, it's because they're thinking about themselves, or sometimes each other, but usually because they're thinking about themselves or their children and saying, what can I do to make things better? And they decide that, okay, divorce is the answer. And sometimes that can be true. Sometimes divorce can be the right thing. Most of the time, it does the opposite, though, because you have two people who are fighting for themselves rather than fighting for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And when two people fight for themselves, a family can't stand together, and so it divides and separates. When people are fighting for each other, that's what creates family, and that's what creates unity. And so I think that that's important to kind of just keep that in mind in the back of your head to help you understand, one, that it is not your fault in the slightest. I think a lot of children who experience divorce have this a thought in the back of their head that it's somehow their fault. There's something that they could have done to fix it, or that they need to step up to the plate and change things. Um, and a lot of times there's not much you can do when the mindset of the people you're dealing with are to help themselves, and they're not necessarily trying to focus on how to help the family, but they're more so focused on how to help themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we resort to when we're unhappy for so long, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and is it right or wrong? It depends on the situation. Sometimes ending a relationship can be a good thing. In my situation, it was. My father at the time was an angry alcoholic, and he would come home at night and force my mom to get up and make him food. And she had to work 3 jobs. And then on top of that, had to deal with my dad, who would yell at her in the middle of the night, coming home drunk from the bar. And all sorts of different things. I remember one night I woke up and I decided to see what all the commotion was, and I came to arrive at a scene of my dad throwing a warm, but like out of the refrigerator, so it's like a floppy, throwing a floppy hot dog at my mom.
What?
I'm not kidding.
What?
And I was like scared and horrified and just went off to my room because I didn't know how to deal with that. I'm just a kid. And so I just went back to bed. It's funny now, but back then that was intense.
No, that's wow. I was
Yeah.
not expecting a hot dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hot dog.
I guess if you need to throw something,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you can get your hands on.
When I was 2, I don't remember it, but apparently when I was 2, I couldn't stop crying, and my dad told me to stop crying, and that made me cry more because he was being really mean. And so he picked me up and threw me across the room. Things like that. Yeah, it's not healthy. So at some point, my dad left for some kind of vacation, some fishing trip or something, and my brother said to my mom, while they were staring at the window watching him leave, this you get this emotion of finally we're free. Finally we can go dance around the house, play music that we want to play, watch whatever TV we want to watch, without being scolded or yelled at or whatever. We can play with our toys in the living room. And my brother looked at my mom and said, "Isn't there anything you can do?" And so she started crying, and I think, if I remember correctly, how the story goes, but and she said, "Yeah, there's something I can do." And she didn't want to do it because divorce is terrible. It's terrible. But she went through the divorce, and it actually helped my dad out a lot because it made him realize that he didn't have the security to act however he wanted to and get away with it. And he started to shape up, not immediately, but eventually he started to shape up, and he started being a nicer person. So sometimes tragic events like this can happen in life, and they can actually compel us to move forward in ways that we didn't expect. Um, you know, a lot of times kids have problems with males or females or whatever it is because they don't have a father in their life or whatever. There's a lot of that goes on in life. Lots of different situations of what do you call that? Trauma that happens from divorces and things like that. Being split between 2 people, them both fighting for you. It's terrible. There's almost nothing worse than that for a child who's growing up. That's, studies have been done. Single parents versus having a mother and a father in the home, and you look at the studies, and even the studies say, like, hey, it's obvious that kids who have both members of the family still together have a much easier life, you know? And so it is a tragedy, But there are so many good things that come from tragedy that we don't see when it's happening. But later on in life, we can start to grow from those experiences or see how they have pushed us forward into a position we didn't want to be in. But that position causes us to grow up faster, causes us to mature faster, causes us to start um, thinking of ourselves as our own person and not having to rely on mom and dad for everything. Start to make us stronger, as people. And that's all very good. Um, so one thing I would tell you is keep in mind that you are your own person. Um, your parents, etc. They might be fighting. Um, None of that is your fault, and none of that should make you feel bad about yourself or feel bad about them. Because what you really need is forgiveness. There's no way to get through this with happiness. There's no way to get through this situation and at the same time be okay with it, to allow things to wash over. There's no way for all of you to get through this and not have this, I need to attack them so that I can feel better, about what's going on in the situation. I need to uplift myself and sometimes bring each other down. There's no way to get through all of that. And your mom's suffering through it, your dad's suffering through it too, your brothers and sisters, except through forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that we were so blessed to have in our life is that we want to be forgiving people. And so we never held a grudge against my dad. Those things happened. Yeah. And at the time they were terrible, but I never held a grudge against my dad. I've always forgiven him for anything that bad he's done. Cause I know I've been a burden too. He didn't want me messing up his life, and I didn't want him messing up my life. Right. But it happens. That's what family does. But family also pulls through for each other. Right. And so forgiveness is crucial. You can't have a relationship without forgiveness. You can't say, I'm going to be your best friend unless you do something I don't like, and then I'm going to hate you forever. Well, that's not really being a friend. It's not really being a best friend, at least, best friends are able to pardon each other's issues, right? Like, oh man, you need help in this area and I'm willing to help you out. Being able to forgive people in their, wherever they're at in life, whatever terrible things they're doing, that's what pulls relationships through. And that's what makes people happy. To be honest, the sooner you can forgive, the faster you can obtain your own happiness. And I would say the same to your mom. She's dealing with stuff that, people have done against her, and she's dealing with stuff she's done against other people. You can bet that she remembers the things she says that offends people, and then remembers later that offended people and makes her feel bad about herself.
Mm-hmm.
No one feels good when they hurt others. They generally go away the next day feeling like, I'm a crappy person. Why am I like this? I hate this.
Well, yeah,
being able to forgive yourself is super important.
Yes. And it sounds like there's some of that going on in your mom too. Maybe she's done some things that hurt your dad, because I noticed some of the comments, she kind of sounds like she goes out of her way to, talk bad about him, even when he's doing some things that are really admirable. And, sometimes that's so we can justify things that we do that we know in our heart are wrong, but we need to justify them. And so we have to come up with a reason that we did that thing.
Yeah. And if you imagine, like, you are with this person, you have your children, audience, your children are watching you guys split apart. You don't feel good about that. It's almost humiliating, right? And then how do you go about making yourself feel less humiliated in front of these people? You say, well, they did this and they did this, and that's why I'm, breaking it up with them. I'm not in the wrong here. I'm doing the right thing, and that may be true, but at the same time, that's a very natural response.
It is natural human response.
It is a natural human response. It's not necessarily the right response, but it's so easy and natural for us to do. We all do it. We all do it in our heads, and we all do it out loud to other people. So So that is why she's doing that. And it's not because she's trying to be mean. It's not because she's trying to be evil. Um, it's not because she's trying to hurt anybody, but it's mostly that she's trying to gain back what she's lost in her humiliation. She's trying to
It's
be
kind of a defense.
it's kind of a defense mechanism, yeah.
Mhm.
And the best, I don't know, for you, what you might be able to do in all of this. So now that you know all of this, you understand it's not your fault. This is stuff that they're going through, and whatever they say to you, you can just deal with it. You understand, like, okay, they're acting like this because it's the natural human response. It means nothing against me. It means nothing against my dad. It doesn't change who we are, even if someone says something mean, whether your mom says something mean to your dad or your dad to her. It doesn't change who people are. Those are just comments, right? They're all worth loving. They're all worth fighting for. They're all
Mhm.
in incredibly infinite valuable people,
Yes.
right? So you can take all of what those comments are, all those bad thoughts, all the gossip, and just throw it away, throw it out the window. What you can do in activeness is to love on them and to help them see when they're doing it, um, and just say, I love you. And forgive them right away. You don't have to say, I forgive you. That
Right.
might be
Some
insulting because then they feel
Yes.
like, what are you forgiving me? I've done nothing wrong. But
Depending on the
but
circumstance, that can be more
yes.
damaging than yeah.
But to say to them that you love them
Mhm.
is super important. So say it often. Um, and do what you can to help them through this. This will pass. Um, this will pass. I can tell you that because time draws out, and eventually people grow farther away from each other, and sometimes it's through that distance that they learn to forgive each other and go, I don't have to be so hard on them. I haven't spoken to them in years. you know it'll pass.
Mhm.
you know for now, you just have to bear with it. There might always be that tension there. It really honestly just depends on whether they're able to forgive or not. But one thing you can lead them towards is that sense of forgiveness, by bringing it up, not necessarily in their scenario, but bring it up as a third party, like, hey, me and my friend just went through this, but I forgive them. You know, it gives them that reminder and that attitude of forgiveness. Um, and also to love on them the best you can. No one's perfect, especially not our parents, even though we wish they were and they wish they were.
Right.
Um,
Well, we tend to put our parents up on a pedestal when we're young too. We look at
and it's
it's like,
important to
well,
do so. It's good.
absolutely. Yep. But we can lose sight of the fact that, they are people too.
They're just people like you.
Every single one of us is a person.
They're still trying to figure it out.
That's absolutely correct. And I love what you said, Ryan, about forgiveness. And don't forget that, healing a relationship requires forgiveness, but that forgiveness isn't necessarily a service you do to the person that needs the forgiveness.
Mm,
Forgiving another person is for your healing. So it
yes.
can be considered a selfish act because it's something you do so you can heal.
Mm,
But really, that's the point. I know a lot of people who hold grudges for years and they're like, I'm not going to forgive them because what they did was wrong and I'm justified in being angry about it. And it's like, really? I understand that. But forgiving them isn't for their benefit, it's for yours. Forgiving a person is so you can heal and move on because you are stuck. Like I see these people that hold grudges and it's like they're stuck in a situation. They're stuck in this anger, they're stuck in this resentment, and it manifests in different bad things that go on in their life. And if they would just forgive and be able to let go, they themselves would be able to move on. So it's really for them and their benefit that they forgive this other person. It's not
mhm.
for the other person that needs the forgiveness. It's
Eh,
for
You
you.
know, it's also interesting because if you think about this with money, a lot of times people have like, hey, someone loans you $20, right? Or you loan somebody, I'll put it in the other direction. You loan somebody $20, and now they're in debt to you.
Mhm.
If you forgive their debt, which means to not care about it, they're forgiven of their debt. It means nothing to you. The debt is gone for no reason. You've just forgiven it, right? If you forgive their debt, immediately. You're like, hey, here's $20. And they're like, okay, I'll pay you back. And you say, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's just $20, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That debt that they owe you is now gone. One, you immediately feel like you've lost nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You immediately feel like you've lost nothing because you've already given it up.
Mm-hmm.
And two, that helps them out because now they don't have to find a way to pay you back.
Mm-hmm.
But three, the most interesting thing is that if you held on to that debt and said, they owe me $20, every time you see them, you're like, you got your $20? No, you don't have it yet? Okay. You got like 5, like, and that continues for like a year. And then finally they're like, like, here's like, you're talking to your friend one day and they're like, yeah, I lent this guy $20. You're like, I lent him $20. He's never going to pay you back. But trust me, I've lent him $20 and I'm still waiting on it. It's like 2 years later, right? And so now all of this happens because you've held on to that debt. Yeah, do they owe it to you? In that scenario, yeah, you're making them owe it to you. They've purchased something, they've borrowed something, they're supposed to pay you back. But if you simply forget their debt, now this might not necessarily work in a business perspective, but on a person-to-person, in a relationship, if you just forgive their debt, you don't have to think about all of that kind of stuff. You don't have to be like, man, when are you going to pay your debt back? When am I going to get my money back? When am I going to be able to get that $20 so I can go out and do this other thing again? None of that comes to your mind because you don't care, So forgiveness is a very powerful thing for both parties, but especially the person who forgives.
Yes, absolutely. And Kayla is leaving. She says she's got to go.
Okay. Well, have a wonderful evening, Kayla.
Yes.
That answers your question.
Thank you so much for the question. It was, as tough as it is to go through stuff like that, it's great, because, I think there are a lot of people who struggle in areas like that. And, they just don't feel comfortable posting it on a chat or talking about it too much. But, just to hear some stories about what, are some possibilities of what to do can really be helpful for a lot of people. In fact, I know that a lot of times I would listen to different shows that had open forums asking questions about different topics and all that stuff. And I would have my own questions in my mind, but somebody else asked my question for me. So I got to listen and have my question answered, and I didn't have to call and ask the question, but it was really kind of cool. But no, so thank you so much for asking the question. And hopefully that was helpful.
Jono, I see your question that you're going to ask your question for another week. I encourage it. I think it's a great question. And his question is, he said, I'm really struggling with my religion, so I thought that would be a good question for another week. Yes, absolutely. Go for it. We try not to draw any bounds on this or boundaries on this show. And we try to be very open and just able to touch on every subject because there's a lot of controversial subjects out there that people wouldn't want to talk about because, if you talk about it on your channel and you don't agree with everybody else, they're all going to hate you. We don't care about that. So ask any question that you so desire. And we're only here to try to do our best to help you guys. Some things we don't have an answer for, but feel free to ask any question. And then...
And Jono, yes, we are both Christians of the Roman Catholic version.
Yes, version. I like that's funny. Okay, and so then Sayori, did you ask your question? I really hope you did.
I think it's up here somewhere, but man, oh man, there's been so much chat. You guys are so amazing.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, we're getting pulled by a beautiful spirit with no name who happens to host this show and goes by the sound of Jesse and responds well to it. But no name shall be given as to what this person's name is. To go to the forums. Apparently, Jesse, or the man wrote it down here.
Yes. Sayori is still here, yes? Yes.
Yes? Okay, good. All right. Would you like me to read it, or do you want to read it?
It's up to you. I read the last one.
Did you? I thought I did. That's fine. Well, lately I've been feeling really depressed. Now, okay, you know what? You know what, Joe? We'll settle this. I'm gonna read every other word. You have to read every word in between. No, I'm just kidding.
Man, that would be really confusing for everybody, I think.
All right. Well, lately I've been feeling really depressed. For the past 3 weeks, it's been getting worse and worse. I've tried to look on the bright side of things or just distract myself somehow. School isn't helping either. My anxiety has been spiking at random times when my mind runs rampant. My counselor said that I should take medicine, but I'm not sure. If I take it, I risk a lot. If I take it, I risk side effects and don't want to have a negative effect. Or, yeah. The last thing I want is for it to get even worse. It's already bone crushing.
Mm.
Yeah, that is definitely something serious, and I'm glad that you asked it. And like I said, your question is totally valuable. Um, so yeah, thank you so much, Sayori. And I'll let Joe touch on this first. He's definitely dealt with some of this, and so have I. So um, we hope we can
Yeah.
help a little bit.
Yeah, depression is so tough. Anxiety is so tough, and you can it when you're in the middle of it, there's all the encouraging statements we can think of to say, like, hey, the Bible says be anxious for nothing, there's and then there's, don't be
Don't
depressed.
worry,
Like,
Wednesday.
what
No.
you be happy about it. Yeah, don't worry, it's Wednesdays. Don't worry, Wednesday. You know, and those are great little one-liners that have absolutely no effect sometimes. So I understand being in a pit, and I understand, feeling like you can't get out. And I understand, um, I was on some antidepressants at a time in my life. I was on Paxil years ago. But there's so many different ones out there
Mhm.
now that it's tough to. I don't know the effects of all of them. I don't know the side effects of all of them. I don't know what all of them necessarily do. Um, but you know, there are side effects for sure. I remember one. It was weird. There was a medication I took called Wellbutrin, and it gave me a rash on the palms of my hands.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it made my hands itch really bad. Like I was like, ah, like this is worse, you know. so so I understand
It's
the
worse
whole
than depression.
dealing with the side effects.
Oh.
Now I'm depressed and my hands itch. Like,
Oh,
so but wow, I
palm
try and
fever.
think of how I was able to pull myself out of that. And it was really, really tough. I think some of it is getting into figuring out what you're anxious about, why you're depressed, sometimes digging into that. And that, you know, this was a time when I sought professional therapy. I saw a psychologist for a while. And what he did that was so important was he listened. He made a recommendation. He could not prescribe medication. So he made a recommendation. This is how I took Paxil for a while. He recommended to my doctor that he prescribed Paxil, in this situation. And so that's how that worked out. But the thing that this psychologist did that was so helpful was he would just listen, and he would look at me attentively and listen attentively and not judge me. In fact, he would reaffirm me in my person. Like he would nothing that I thought was a big deal was a big deal to him. Like he didn't think any of it was a big deal. Because I had all these concerns and all these different things. I was just out of high school and in college, my first year in college, you know, I made it a whole semester and a half, and I had a nervous breakdown and had to leave college. I went from National Honor Society in high school to 0.04 grade point average
Ouch.
in college, like like failing everything,
Yeah.
except for band.
Good.
And even in band, I was like almost failing. So, but he was really able to just, I mean, the thing that he did that was so helpful was he just affirmed, he affirmed me as a person. And yeah, he dug down, he asked some probing questions to dig down into the root of some of the things. But then when he finally got to those points, he was like, that's not like, it feels like it's such a big deal. But in the grand scheme of the world, it's not that huge. This particular thing you're so concerned about, it's not that big, and you can get by it. You can survive even in the midst of that. I know people who have, I remember one of my main concerns was, I felt like I failed out of college because I had to leave. And I felt like I was going to lose all kinds of things, like I was going to not be able to have health insurance under my parents' health insurance plan anymore. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And my whole identity was shattered because I was a music major. And, there's all these different kinds of things. And he told me a story that stuck with me because I was so concerned with lining everything up and having my life lined up properly. Go to school and you get the career doing whatever it is, you get your degree so you can do that stuff and da 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 da. And he said, I have some friends. They just, drive over to a city. They don't know anybody. They got nothing. They might have some money in their pocket. And they just do this. This is how they live. They go to a city. They, find a job, doing whatever. And they start working and they get a place. And that's what they do. And then they thrive in that environment. So a lot of the things we think are a big deal aren't necessarily that big a deal. And I remember that story kind of just illustrated the fact that, I can relax a little bit. It's not the end of the world. These things aren't the end of the world. So sometimes anxiety is just with us. Sometimes we just have a lot of fear. And that's natural. I mean, all of us have things that we're afraid of. Sometimes the best question you can ask yourself is why? Why am I afraid? What am I afraid of? And then you come to the question, well, I'm afraid of this. Okay, well, why am I afraid of that? Okay, well, I'm afraid of this because if it happens, then this and this. Okay, well, why am I afraid of that? And you can kind of dig down into the why question. You can always ask why, until you get to the point where, you're kind of at the end, and like, here's the real reason why I'm fearful, and then you can handle that. Sometimes handling that one little thing can tweak the situation enough so all the other things can fall like dominoes. It might take some time because some of these things might be so deeply seated in your personality that it might take some effort to work through. But it's a pretty it's a constant theme on our show here that forgiveness brings healing. And maybe there's nobody you need to forgive except for yourself. Maybe there's something that that you don't like about yourself, and you need to forgive yourself for that. Maybe there's something like that. Maybe something happened that was hurtful years ago, and it's still got its grip on you, and it can take an act of forgiveness to release that. But so getting down to the root of it can be helpful. And also in the case of depression, man, it sounds like you're already seeing a counselor. But sometimes you can ask a counselor, hey, if I'm a little bit nervous of the side effects of this medicine, can we just talk and kind of get to the root of my problem through talking, rather than relying on medicine? And, definitely listen to your counselor and follow their instructions, but bring your concerns to them. That's their job, is to help you through your concerns. And if you're concerned about the side effects of some medicine, then bring that to them as well. And, and talk to them about it. So, but I would definitely continue on that path. And wow, it's a tough road. One of the things I can encourage you to do is to see what you can do in terms of finding a purpose for yourself. And it's not necessarily finding the meaning of my life. I gotta figure out the meaning of life. No, a lot of times we get to decide our purpose. And it's always the best when you can figure out a way to contribute into the lives of others or into the world. One of the most therapeutic things you can do is serve other people. If there's a way, that's why, Ryan and I talk about this, we after every Don't Worry Wednesday, we sit there and talk about, man, that's my favorite day of the week, because we get to, you feel so good after you do your best to help other people.
That's true.
And that's what we do here. We're not perfect. We don't get everything right all the time, but I know I can speak for myself that, I always try my hardest to do the best I can to help, in any way that I can, even if it's just encouraging you guys. If I don't know anything about a certain situation, even if all I can offer is just, you can do it, and, I love you. I try to impart that the best that I can. But if you can try and serve another person, if you can try and help another person with their issue, you'll find your issues start to go down a little bit. Your depression might start to, go away. Your anxiety might loosen, just from going out and trying to help in any way you can. And it doesn't mean being all outgoing and, all that kind of stuff. There are ways that you can help in the background that can be just as rewarding as, going and helping somebody publicly. So those are some of the encouragements I would have for you. But Ryan, I've talked for a long time, and I think it's your turn.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Joe. And she continued, she wrote some more stuff. She says, well, I have an interesting past. A lot of things have happened. I started to get depressed after my father left, but now he's been trying to talk to me. I've been like this since I was 7. It's just been getting worse and worse. I've been hating myself more and more. I remember what happened with my mom's ex-boyfriend and how I didn't defend myself. I remember my father watching me bleed out on the floor and just smile at me. I was dying and he walked away. His drugs and alcohol were more important.
Oh.
Yeah, that sounds really rough.
Oh.
And she says, Sadie, please read my previous messages. Just did. Let's see. Is there anything else after that? Let me quickly double check. No. Okay. No further comments. Okay. And she was just listening to you, I'm sure. Okay. Yeah. Ouch. Yeah. Seriously. That's really, really, really rough. One thing I would encourage is, obviously we talked about Kayla and the situation she's going through, and yours is definitely different. But one thing that I had mentioned during during answering or commenting on her situation was that, my father also was angry, alcoholic, and somewhat abusive. Now your situation is a little bit more intense, at least. Well, being thrown as a 2-year-old is pretty intense, but still, having someone smile at you and leave to go do some drugs while you were bleeding out on the floor, yeah, that's definitely a really traumatic situation. Nothing to go, oh, it's nothing. Yeah, that's serious. That's extremely traumatic, and that's something that's an image that might stick with you for the rest of your life, right? But does that mean it always has to haunt you and hurt you? I don't think so. And I think it's important to remember that doesn't reflect who you are. A lot of times, when we're children, this our first way of recognizing our value is from our parents. When we're born, how do we know how valuable we are is entirely based upon how we're treated. Um, whether we're fed or not, when we cry, when we're, too young to really even form words, when we cry, is our cry heard? Is it responded to? As little babies, this is how we establish, how we get our way and how valuable we are to our parents and who we are as people. We understand who we are as people based off of how we're treated. But at some point in life, you have to come to recognize that we're more valuable than just how we're treated, and how we're treated does not reflect who we are. Because, for example, if someone comes up to me and tells me I'm a terrible musician, that's fine, and that's their opinion. But is that the truth? Other people would argue against it.
I argue with that person.
You would argue. You would say you're a dumb.
You're a dumb.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. You're an dumb.
And I'm not.
And I are not. Okay, and so you continue. And my father was not the best dad, and certainly at this point, I don't have a dad. My mother and stepfather do not help either. My mom takes her anger out on me mentally and physically. My stepfather hates me. And he tells me I'm worthless almost every time we speak to each other. Okay. So as I was pointing out earlier, remember that who you are, how valuable you are, is not based on how anybody treats you or how anybody thinks of you. A lot of times we look to others to determine who we are, and that's very natural for us, but it's not. You can't get at the essence of a human being by looking at how other people think about them. You can't get to the bottom of how awesome somebody is just by talking to others. You can only really learn who that person is when you speak with them. And Bree, I've spoken with you a couple of times, not a whole lot. And I know a whole lot of people on our server that have spoken to you, and everyone loves you. Seriously, everyone does. But even though all of us here love you, and your home situation, maybe that's not the case with your mother, father, and stepfather. Either way, that's not who you are, right? You are amazing, and not because I say so, but just because you are. Because you go out of your way to do nice things for others. You try to help other people. I notice that. I see you do that. Your laugh is great. You have a great laugh. I do enjoy it. And you have a big sense of humor and all of this stuff. Okay. Who cares? Yes, I can understand caring about what they think of you. You have to live with them. You have to bear the brunt of their anger and yelling at you and telling you you're stupid or whatever it is they say about you. But that doesn't have to. Don't allow that to get to your head. And I know you've told yourself before, that won't get to me. Don't let that get to me. Don't let that get to me. I'm sure, because we've all done it. But I'm saying it again, don't let it get to you. All right. That won't do you any good. So just remember that you don't have to believe you are who you are based off of how other people have treated you in the past. So when your father walks away from you, when you're bleeding on the floor and doesn't help you, and he smiles at you, laughs, and goes off to do some drugs and alcohol, right? That is so horrifying. But you know what? That's awful for him. That's awful for you, but it's also so awful for him. Because who is he? He's the man doing that, right? And I'm not saying you should be mad at him, but I'm showing you who he is and who he knows he is and why he does those things. What I'm saying is, why does he continue to do those drugs or alcohol? It's because he's probably also, maybe even worse than you, depressed. He hates himself. The core of depression is looking at yourself in a negative view, right? But the solution to that, I would say, is to look at yourself in a positive view. But the solution to that is understanding the value that you hold and that you are. When you can see yourself in all of your beautiful, wonderful, unlimited value, and you can look at yourself and see that person as I see it, and as others can see that, then you can start to look at yourself and not feel depression, because you start to look at yourself as it was intended. Happiness is not something that's supposed to be so hard to grasp. But happiness is so hard to grasp because our natural instinct a lot of times, or the world that we're surrounded by, is full of evil stuff. And that evil stuff makes us think evil things about ourselves too. Happiness, is not supposed to be so hard that it seems unachievable, just impossible. But it becomes that way when we buy into the fact that we're just humans and we're all worthless and we're all an accident. When we buy into the idea that there's no big reason or purpose to our life, that our value is based on how we've seen other people treat us, right? Other people have treated you poorly, other people have treated me poorly. But when I forget or forgive them, and I realize that isn't what defines me as a person, I can look at myself and realize I'm not that broken. We're all a little broken, but I'm not that broken. I'm not as broken as people have treated me, right? And I'll tell you what, there are a lot of people who have treated me really well too. I'm not going to say that I've lived this terrible, tragic life my whole life, right? I've had bullies. I've had, bad things happen, but at the same time, I've had so many amazing, wonderful people in my life that have helped guide me through it. And I hope that we can be one of those people for you. And I know that there's a lot of people on the server who want to be that for you. And so I know you have that too. So he was actually really narcissistic. And another thing with narcissism, as I was getting at before, you have depression. Depression is the combination of two subconscious habits. So your subconscious mind, it captures everything that happens out in the world, and then it makes habits of it. So how you walk, right, is actually a subconscious habit. You don't have to think about walking. You don't have to think about every step and how you balance and move your foot up while the other one shifts the weight to your left hip and then moves the other leg down and all of this kind of stuff. You don't have to think about all of that. It's all being worked in your subconscious mind. But also how you react to things. If someone calls you an idiot, what's your first reaction? How do you feel about it? That's all subconscious habit too. Do you get angry? And is the reason you get angry is because that's what your parents do, and that's how you react now because that's how they've influenced you. That's, that's very natural. Or do you react with kindness because your parents or somebody you loved, or maybe your friend, or maybe you've thought about it for a while and said, hey, maybe I should be kind instead? All of these things affect how we react to stuff. So that's all in our subconscious mind, our natural reaction to things, our emotions, what we like and what we dislike, whether we're attracted to males or females. That's all in our subconscious mind, right? Um, it's not just who we are. It is who we are, but it's also who we can change to a degree. Some things are very deep, but some things can be changed with ease. Some things aren't that easy to change. Some habits are easy to change. Some habits take months, and you have to try at it and try it. And slowly over time, you get over it with the right encouragement and right environment and right activity. But anyways, what I was going to say earlier is that when you hate yourself, or when you're depressed, it's a combination of being focused on yourself with the combination of being natural or habitually negative. So you see everything in a negative light, and then you see yourself in a negative light, and you don't like it. It doesn't gel well with you. And then you're mean to yourself and you don't like it. It's a terrible cycle. If you only change one of them, you end up in a different bad situation, because those are two habits. If you stop being so negative and you start being positive about everything, but you're still really too focused on yourself, you get an ego problem or a narcissistic problem. And as soon as one little tidbit of negativity comes into your life, bam, comes crushing down, turns right back into depression. I've seen it. I've felt that. I've done that. But I've also witnessed people go through that, the ups and downs of, I'm awesome, I hate myself. I'm awesome, I hate myself. And you can change it the other way around. You can always be negative. We all know negative Nancy's out there. It's not necessarily good. And again, you can switch back and forth. You have to work at trying to change both of them. You can try to be more positive, but and you can try to be more humble, looking out for others. I would say humility is super important in all of this. If you want to figure out how to get out of depression, you need to learn how to be humiliated. No, humble. And the reason I say humble is because I want to point out something. Being humble is not the art of degrading yourself. And it's not even, though a lot of times this is part of it, it's not even saying that others are better than me or pointing out others and how awesome they are. Humility is the correct understanding. It's that balance, that correct understanding of human value, and treating others and yourself with that understanding. Because if you think everybody else is better than you, then you're in the same place. You're stuck. If you think you're better than everybody else, then you definitely aren't humble, right? But if you start to see yourself as equal to everybody else, but also see everybody else on such a high platform, even those who do the terrible things that haunt your past, and start to realize that they were meant to be better than that. And they can still be better than that. They were meant to do something different in that situation. I'll tell you, they were not supposed to do what they did, but they're still meant and called for that. And they're still capable of growing and being better than that person that they were back then, right? So keep that in mind and try to remember that everyone is meant to be amazing, and that you especially are, and you can be amazing. You can be an incredible help to the world, right? And you have such a great personality. So share that with the world. And anyways, that was touching on narcissism. Anyways, I'm going to continue with this. He was actually really narcissistic. He would talk and gloat about himself whenever he could. He would laugh, and when I cried, when he reached for his belt, he found my terror amusing. Right. Yep. And I'm very sorry. That sounds, again, traumatizing. And I could totally 100% understand why you would be in the situation where you are in your depression. And I want to let you know that that's not your fault. But I also want to let you know that you might be the only person that can walk you out of it. Everyone's going to be here to help you. Everyone, not everybody, but there are going to be people out there to help you. And there are going to be people out there to take you down. Listen to the people who are trying to help you, but and take their encouragement and try your best. But depression is something you get over basically by one thing: how you perceive the world around you. Mm-hmm. If you think the world you live in is crappy, you're going to feel like crap living in it. And if that's all you've ever been shown, that the world is crappy, it only makes sense to think that life is crappy because of that. That's all you've ever seen. That's all you know. Life, it's been proven time and time again. Life is crappy. And I feel like crap living in it. Why are we here? Why? Let's just get it over with, right? But that's only one perspective, And there are many different opinions and there are many perspectives, and I won't say one is right over the other, but I can say that opinions, sometimes there is a right or wrong. Sometimes there's a better. You can have an opinion about something that something is terrible and is awful, and then you'll hate it. So like, I can have an opinion that this song is the worst song in the world and I hate it every time it comes on. I'm just like, oh, shut it off. I'm in pain listening to this song. But that's an opinion. That's of causing me mental pain. All I have to do is change my opinion of the song. Now, is that easy? No. But it can be done with the right perspective, with the right words of people coming from, yes, there is a cricket in the background. Shine your flashlight.
Fix it.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. With a different perspective, is saying, oh, this is the best song in the world, right? That's just an opinion. But now when you hear that song, the person who enjoys the song is feeling excitement, is feeling joy, right? That's all just a matter of perspective. Whether you're feeling pain or whether you're feeling joy is entirely based upon how you perceive that song. And the same is true about the rest of life. Perception is everything. You just have to change your perception. And is that easy? Again, no. It's a subconscious habit, but it can be changed. And the thing that I would say you need to focus on the most is human value. Ask yourself, try to find out the reason, where does human value come from and what makes me valuable? Is it the things I do, or is it more than that? Is it who I am? Is it the fact that I exist? Is it things I could do in the future? There's all things that can maybe determine human value for you. I take a very religious approach, and that definitely helps. But I'll tell you that there's a reason religion exists, because there's truth in all of it. Not all religions are true, but there is a truth to them. Otherwise, they would not still exist. And you can learn a lot by studying those realms. And religion is generally the only subject that tries to tackle the reason or the logic behind human value in a dignified way. Because if you have no, if you're trying to find out how to answer a somewhat philosophical or question that's logical but not scientific, so just because something is logical doesn't mean it has to work with science. Like a thought that just came to my mind is not science. It wasn't a physical matter that can be studied and made an example of, but it is still logic and is real. It is part of reality, and now it is history because I had that thought in the past. These are all things. But if you reduce the entire world to science, you end up with a whole lot of lack of other things. So anyways, my point is, not that you need to become a religious person, but to study things like your mind and study things that help you find purpose in life, help you find what you're here for, help you find your value. And so, yeah, that's all of those things I hope help you through this. And I know that what you're going through is not easy, and I'm never going to try to make light of it. It's very serious. And a lot of times people will say, I know what you're going through. Just because they haven't faced the exact examples of what you're going through doesn't mean they haven't felt the pain. And maybe their pain isn't as intense, but they might know a little bit. So if someone says, I understand, I know what you're going through, don't ever cast them off like they don't. They might. And maybe they don't. Maybe they really don't. But at least hear them out. They're trying to help. And because honestly, none of us completely do, because we're not you and we aren't feeling it as you're feeling it. But we've all felt feelings before, right? So I don't know. With all of that, I'm going to stop. I hope that was helpful, Bree. I love you. And so does Joe. And so do a lot of other people. So just hang in there and do your best. That's all you can do. Be proud of yourself. Try to stay away from the things that make you not proud of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of depression can come from being unsatisfied or angry at yourself from doing the things that you know you shouldn't do. So try to stay away from those things and forgive yourself when you do them.
Mm-hmm.
No one's I certainly won't hate you for anything you've ever done. So yeah.
And somebody needs to kill this cricket.
Don't kill bugs though. That's mean.
You don't kill the bugs?
Look, you break it, you break it, you buy it, you kill it, you eat it.
I can't, it worked so good before to shine this light around.
Yeah, he got scared for like an hour.
Yeah. And now it's like, he just won't shut up. I know.
He's trying to give his advice, He's like, listen, Bree,
like, I got a question.
I'm a cricket.
I'm a cricket, and I need to be dead.
What do I do?
No. But I will say this. We have a lot of people, man, that cricket's going to bother me. Ryan, I'm going to mute myself. Can you talk for a second?
Yeah.
I'll be right there. I'm going to waddle around for a second. Hold on.
All right. So yeah, cool. Good job, guys. You did it. We're here. You made it. Anyways, yeah. Bree hasn't spoken a little bit, so there's Bree the kitten. Is Bree the kitten a different person than Sayori? I'm curious. Or is it just a different account? I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out. I'm trying to read through the comments now. The owl's name. Everybody's been asking the owl. And yes, we haven't done the sponsor. No, Sayori equals Bree, and Bree the kitten is a different Bree. Thank you, Master Lay. Thank you.
We got to write a song about the cricket.
Yeah, the cricket and the Don't Worry Wednesday. Sayori hasn't spoken for a while, so I hope she was able to stay for all of that.
Yeah. Well, and for everybody, this is one of the things, all of us go through hard times, and we all kind of get different flavors of difficulty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No one's life is the same. And some people have it way harder than others. And that's true.
Yeah.
But we all get our own taste.
Yeah. So, now Master Lay's saying that it's the same person.
Oh, it is the same person?
Bree equals Bree equals Sayori.
Okay. Good. Okay. So they were here for all of it. Good.
Yeah. So, but the road to greatness is never easy.
That's true.
So what we have here, people that are going through challenges, you're on your road to greatness.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that I can remember some challenging times where that was the one thought that was keeping me going through some of that stuff. It's like, I must be setting up some kind of great story here because this is terrible. Like, so if you can tuck that little nugget in the back of your head when things get hard, just remember, you wouldn't be given something difficult if it wasn't preparing you for something great.
True.
Because that's how it is. I mean, nobody who's achieved something great has ever gotten there through ease and comfort and no challenges whatsoever. It's always been hard. It's always been messy. It's always been painful every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And so rejoice in those moments when it's hard and difficult, because that means that if you handle this, when you get through it, you can do something very great. And you're probably being prepared to help somebody else through the same issue that you're dealing with right now. I remember, talking to somebody who had counseled a lot of people in their marriages. They said, the only reason we're good marriage counselors is because our marriage was terrible for years. They're like, for years and years, our marriage was awful and so hard. And we were on the verge of divorce so many times. And that's why we can counsel other people, because we went through that. If we hadn't gone through that, then we wouldn't be able to counsel them very well. So you may be being prepared to help others. And that's probably the case, because that's kind of why we're here. We're here for the sake of others. So I'm so proud of you guys.
Yeah. You guys are awesome.
Did we have a word? Did we have a word from our sponsor today?
We need a word from our sponsor. Jesse, what's the word? Tacos. Sweet. All right, everybody, light up a taco.
Light up a taco.
That's right. You got to light them on fire.
What?
Yeah. Taco Supreme,
Oh, my.
Yeah, you light a taco on fire and then boom, explosion. Taco is everywhere.
Taco.
Do you remember that song?
It's Tuesday.
Yeah, tacos on Tuesday. That's right.
Whoa.
Numino microscopic volcanoneosis. That's what it is. I've seen that word before. It's a medical term.
You've seen that word before.
Yeah. It's supposed to be the longest word well, it's not the longest one. There is a longer one. There's a couple of longer ones, but it's supposed to be one of the longest words in the world. But it is a medical term, and there are other medical terms that are even longer. There's one that's the size of like 2 paragraphs.
Wow. That sounds like an amazing disease.
Amazing disease. Yes, every disease is amazing. Develop a lung disease due to small particles in the lungs. That's all it is. Okay. That's like Hippopotamonstrossus squipedalian. It just means big. Or Hippopotamonstrossus squipedalionophobia is the fear of big words.
The fear of that, yeah.
Yeah, fear of big words is Hippopotamonstrossus squipedalian, which is ironic because if you had that fear, you'd never
forgot the phobia at the end.
Phobia. Sorry, yeah, Hippopotamonstrossus squipedalionophobia. So if you're like, hey, I'm Hippopotamonstrossus squipedalionophobia, you'd be scared while saying it. It would be ironic.
Phobic.
A phobic, yeah, in that situation.
Yeah.
I have Hippopotamonstrossus squipedalionophobia. Yeah. And then another word is...
That's the condition, but the person is what?
Hippopotamonstrossus squipedalionophobic.
Yes. I do not know any of what you just said, but
can you say it? Really cool. Try to say Hippopotamonstrossus squipedalion. Try to say hippo.
Hippo.
Try to say hip hop.
Hip hop.
Okay. Hip hop a top.
Hippopotop.
Very good. Hippopotamonstratus squipedalian.
How am I going from hippopotop?
Which there's no top. There's a tom. Hippopotamonstratus.
Hippopotamonstratus. What?
Yeah. Yes. Monstratus.
Hippopotamonstratus.
Yeah. Hippopotamonstratus.
Hippopotamonstratus.
Hippopotamonstratus quipedalian.
Quipedalian?
I believe so. Hippopotamonstratus quipedalian. Yeah, quipedalian.
Hippopotamonstratus quipedalian.
I think there might be a quipedalian. Yeah, there you go. And then there's Phloxanox and the hillobilification. I'm not making that one up. So Phloxanox and the hillobilification is the categorizing of trivial things. So if something is trivial, it doesn't matter. If you categorize it into sections, it's called Phloxanox and the hillobilification.
Phloxanox the hillbilly.
Phloxanox and the hillobilification. Phloxanox and the hillobilification.
Sophia.
Trivial things.
Sophia says anti-disestablishmentarianism. Yes, I know that one.
That's the one a lot of people know.
That one I can say. Hippopotamonstratus.
And have any of you ever heard these words in actual sentences?
And can you say it in Pig Latin?
Oh, geez, no. I don't even want to. It's the same. It'd be just hard.
Hey.
Phloxanox and hillobilification, Faye, I guess. Phloxanox and hillobilification, Faye.
Phloxanox and hillification.
Phloxanox and hillobilification.
Nailed it.
You got it. Straight out. Yeah, there's actually no X's in it, though. It's all double C's, I believe. Phloxanox. Anyways, that's off topic. We're doing a Don't Worry Wednesday right now.
We are, and we're at the
all
end
that stemmed from tacos.
Yeah.
Good job, Jesse. Way to do it. That was your fault.
That all came from tacos. And light up the taco. Everybody, light up the taco.
Light up a taco.
Man, can I bum a taco? Can I bum a light for my taco that I bum?
Can I bum a light off you? I got this taco. Oh, yeah. Thanks, man. What do you do with the taco that's on fire? You eat it.
Do?
Like you do a normal taco. Yeah. Maybe you eat it where the flame is. That way the flame goes out and then you have to light it up again and take another bite.
If you have a taco that's on fire,
I would not eat it. That'd be terrifying.
You waddle on it.
Yeah, that's right. Very drawn out. It says that you taco, explosion, duck. So ducks waddle. So if you have a taco that's on fire, you waddle. I get it.
Yes.
You waddle it out.
Hey, we got to look at Judges 331.
Okay, do it.
It's been said a bazillion times.
Yes. What's in Judges 331?
Judges 331.
I don't have it memorized. Judges is one of those ones that a lot of people don't actually quote. So,
yeah. Well, let's see.
What do we got?
Let's go to it. We're going to read it. This is the first time on a Don't Worry Wednesday we're going to quote scripture.
Yeah, because the audience has said, look at it.
Look at it. Would you just look at that?
Would you just look at it?
Judges 3:31.
All you can say is, would you look at that?
After him was Shamgar, the son of Anath, who killed 600 of the Philistines with an ox goad, and he too delivered Israel.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that the passage you were looking for?
That's, hey.
Manly.
And that is the RSV version.
RSV?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
What's an ox goad? Is that a horn?
I don't know. It's that's kind of, yeah. But hey, if you're gonna use something to kill a bunch of Philistines, it's got to be an animal body part.
That's right.
This guy, and then there was Samson. He did the same thing with a jawbone.
Struck down 600 Philistines with an ox goad. He too saved Israel.
Yeah. Shamgar. They had cool names, man. I wish my name was Shamgar.
Oh, an ox goad is a sharp stick used to guide oxen.
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah. Perfect.
Nice.
Now we know. And thank you for requesting that we read Judges 3:31.
Yes. Quite a
a big pointy stick.
Yeah, a big pointy stick.
Oh my.
Yes, there was Cray. I don't know if 100 was the exact amount, but yes, you are thinking of what was his name? Oh, I can't remember right now. David. I think it might have been David.
Did that?
No, it was not. Wait, someone know it wasn't David because he wasn't. It was someone who came before the king, who had to do that to prove. So to what was his name? John? John. It might have been John. Honestly, there's a lot of Johns, but I think it could have been John.
Oh. Thinking about that makes me waddle.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I should know that. I just can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was John. Thanks for Rag Attack. I hope you saw that. Joe's gone. He waddled off. And this is where we end the stream. Oh, he's waddling back on. There you go, Rag Attack. You've received waddles. I hope Rag Attack is here to see that. If you missed it, we're all going to be like, Rag Attack, what? Now you have to. Yes. Oh my Lord. So happy.
Oh, you guys are awesome. I'm so glad you guys are here.
Okay, yes. A good reminder, Jesse.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll all see you next year.
But
also before that, we're going to see you next Wednesday or maybe Friday. We'll see if we do one on Friday.
Yeah, stay tuned because this may be the week we do 2.
Yes, hit that bell so you'll be notified.
Smash.
If you want to.
The subscribe button.
Smash the bell. Make it not ring anymore because you destroyed it. That's terrible.
If you've already clicked the bell, do not click it again.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have not clicked the bell, click it. And
does it make a noise when you click it?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
It click noise. Your mouse makes a click noise.
Oh, true.
It goes like this. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a great noise. So now, Rack Attack, just because I waddled doesn't mean you shouldn't come back anymore.
Right. It's a stipulation.
Yes. Well, we definitely want to do this more than one day a week. You know, we're gonna try.
Sometimes the notifications don't work, and that's not our fault. It's YouTube, and we don't know why, but we hope they work for you from now on.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And you guys are awesome, and we're gonna let you guys have an amazing rest of your Wednesday.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Love you all.